How much protein should I be eating? Should I be having more protein in my diet? What's the right amount of protein? If you're asking these questions, I might be able to help. Hi, everyone. My name is Margaret Fletcher. I'm a registered dietitian, diabetes care and education specialist, and I work at Nourish, which is an online nutrition counseling platform. If you're wondering about how to prevent or manage diabetes without getting tangled up in diet culture, I hope that you'll stay to listen a little bit longer. Now, in the last few videos, I've been talking about how there aren't good carbohydrates or bad carbohydrates, and today we're going to be talking about protein. There's a lot of talk about protein. How much should I be having? Well, when I went online and double checked and made sure that I was up on all my research, there aren't new guidelines. So the RDA states it's 1.8 to 1.2 grams per kilogram for protein. What does that equal in like a meal, Mikrit? About 20 to 30 grams of protein per meal. So at breakfast, 20 to 30, at lunch, 20 to 30, at dinner, 20 to 30. Now, a lot of my clients say to me, well, is that a lot? Is that a little? How do I do that? And that's where working with a dietitian can really help you kind of develop meal plans and figure out what works best for you. But generally speaking, when we think about protein, we're going to be looking at plants and animal sources of protein and also dairy. So starting off with plant sources of protein, they're going to be things like beans, tofu, soy, and tempeh, so that would be part of the soy family. And we're also going to be looking at things like nuts. If we're looking at animal sources of protein, that's going to be things like eggs and cheese and also meat. And if we're looking at dairy, again, that cheese piece is going to come in, milk and yogurt are also going to be there. Okay, Margaret, I'm managing diabetes. I'm really confused. How does the protein and the carbohydrate thing go together? Well, first and foremost, some protein sources do contain carbohydrates. So beans contain carbohydrates, and so does milk or yogurt. Cheese, for the most part, doesn't really have any carbohydrates because as it was fermenting and becoming cheese, the bacteria ate that all up. And for the most part, protein, things like eggs and fish and chicken and those kinds of things don't have any carbohydrate unless the food is breaded. So yes, a chicken cutlet would have carbohydrates, but a piece of chicken wouldn't. Okay, that sounds pretty helpful. So how do I get enough protein in my diet? How much protein should I be getting? Tell me a little bit more. Well, protein is one of the 4 macronutrients. So there's carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and alcohol. I'm not going to talk about alcohol. So when we think about a balanced diet, we're trying to balance the amount of protein, fats, and carbohydrates together. And again, this idea that we just want to get all of our calories from protein is misleading. And why? Well, we have to think the big picture. What's going to happen down the way? If I get all of my calories from protein, am I going to be missing out on any other nutrients, or is it going to cause a problem in the future? When we're trying to prevent or manage diabetes, the kinds of issues that we're trying to prevent and manage are things like heart disease, for sure. And also, we want to protect your kidney. Absolutely. I know. They're really important. So important we got 2. So again, when we think about balanced diet, we're trying to understand the ratio between protein and other macronutrients. So let's figure that out. If you do a 2-to-1 ratio, so twice as many carbohydrates to protein, that would mean that if a product had 30 grams of carbohydrate, it would have about 15 grams of protein. If you wanted to lower that or play with it so you had more energy, you might adjust that down. Maybe it's 1.5 to 1 or 1 to 1, but it's in that ballpark. So again, you can start looking at things and saying, hey, am I getting enough protein in this meal? If I'm getting, I want to get 20 grams of protein, I want 40 grams of carbohydrate or in that vicinity. If I wanted to get 60 grams of protein, 60 grams of carbohydrate, I'd want 30 grams of protein. So you can see how that 2-to-1 ratio can work really well. It makes it easy when finding different products, at the grocery store and saying like, hey, is this a good balance? You're always going to want to check it out and see what works best for you, but hopefully this was a helpful video. If you're interested in how to prevent or manage diabetes without stepping into diet culture, please check out my newsletter, No Weight Loss Required. And if you'd like to work with me individually, you can see me through Nourish, and Nourish accepts most insurance, so no copay. Take care.